I'm Mark Laing, and I'm a therapist here at the Bay Ridge Family Center. The next 4 sessions are going to cover a really painful topic, a very controversial topic, pornography. You know, I remember one night doing a television show, and it was a phone-in talk-in show, and I asked the question, do you think pornography is harmless or harmful? By the end of the night, I got to tell you, I was heartbroken. Most of the callers, by the sound of their voice, sounded somewhere between the range of about 19 to 25. And about 95% of all the callers, being basically male, all told me it was harmless. I got accused of a lot of things. I was told I was gay. I was told I was anal retentive. It wasn't an easy night by means. And I tried very hard to help them understand the hidden danger behind pornography. Hopefully this series will help you to understand how the addiction begins, what's involved, and for you wives who may find out, unfortunately, that your husband has this addiction, what it means to you and how you can deal with it and help your husband. You'll discover that the addiction really has nothing to do with you, although you will feel great pain experiencing it. Let's talk today just about how the average pornography addiction begins. It's been shown that the average addiction begins somewhere around the age of puberty, somewhere around 11 to 13. Most young boys who get involved with pornography get involved either because A, their dad had a stash of Playboys or Penthouse or some kind of pornographic material in the house, or B, their best friend's dad had it, or C, they find a magazine somewhere outside, somebody's thrown it out, or D, they've stolen it from the corner store. And that's a fairly common story too. Initially, at this point in a young man's life, the interest is purely curious. What does a woman's breast look like? What does a woman's vagina look like? It really is a curious endeavor. But it's really the hook. It's the lure. And let's face it, isn't that what Satan is so good at doing? He hooks you, and then he's got you. And pornography has its built-in lure and hook. The lure is curiosity. Well, now let's talk about how you start getting hooked. And there's 2 levels to that hooking. The first level is, as the young male begins to look at the pornography, it starts to move from just pure curiosity to arousal. He begins to recognize there is a stirring inside that begins. He may discover that he gets an erection. And this is often the stage where he will discover the bliss of masturbation. And this is the first hook. This is where it becomes now a sexual endeavor. Initially, certainly there was the sexual part of it, but it was curiosity. Now it's moving deeper within sexual expression. The final part of the process of the addiction, and it's the pièce de résistance, it's the clincher, is where the male begins to pair the pornography viewing and the masturbation with an emotional state. So let me give you an example. Let's say young Bobby goes to his high school dance, and during the night he asks 3 or 4 girls to dance. For some reason this isn't Bobby's night. All 3 girls not only deny him the pleasure of a dance, but they tell him so in a very mean way. He leaves the dance that night feeling rejected and abandoned. And he goes home and he discovers a very private, personal place to help him feel better. Pornography. He begins to look at it. He begins to be aroused by it. And it ends with an orgasm. And this orgasm is what is referred to as the limbic burn. This is where the pairing of the rejection, that emotional state, with a sexual act really becomes its strongest. It's kind of like burning a CD. it feels almost permanent. And it's what goes into that feeling later as the addiction continues. The male feels he just cannot stop. The pairings are generally with negative emotions. I feel unloved, I feel beat up, I feel angry, I feel rejected, I don't feel anybody cares about me. It can also be paired with times of victory. You know, I got an A on my exam. I just won the lottery. You know, I won the triathlon at the high school track meet. They also can be paired. And see, the danger about this is that now the emotional state is what's going to trigger them to go back to the pornography. Well, let's talk a little bit about the chemicals that are involved in the whole issue of pornography. And there are some important ones that are involved here. One of them is dopamine. Dopamine is what gives you a sense of bliss. The second one is norepinephrine. And norepinephrine gives you that excitatory, feeling happy place. The third one is a chemical called acetylcholine. And that's what gives you the alertness, the intention, the performance, the drivenness, which many males will tell me they cross over a threshold and they just feel they've gone too far, they have to do it now. And finally, there's PEA, or phenylethylamine. And this also enhances the state of bliss. These are deadly chemicals in the hands of the lure and hook of pornography.